guys, welcome to the Bonsai Nook with Adam Ask Why.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. This show is in response to a suggestion from one of my friends. Her name is Barb. She's from Titusville, Florida. She wanted to see if I could show a video on branch placement. So the two trees we're going to be looking at. This is a Ficus salicaria, the willow leaf ficus or the narrow leaf ficus. Some of the old timers call it nerifolia or salicifolia. I call it salicaria because I'm a troublemaker. The second tree we're going to look at is a Ficus microcarpa. It's one of those dreaded ginseng ficus, but it's like 1 in a million. You've never seen one that has that twisty trunk. The reason I'm showing this one is because I've been working a long time putting those branches where they need to be. The salicaria, on the other hand, the branches are all there. I just need to wire it and put them in place. So I'm going to try to give you an idea of why the branch is going to move this way and then move that way and then move that way. The reason I chose these two trees, two ficus, it is late fall in Florida, and that means for us it's almost like a second spring. The trees are starting to grow again after the heat of the summer, and I can do a lot of work that I would do in early spring on them. I can defoliate, I can wire them. I don't really want to repot them, but if you're watching this from up in Michigan, you may not want to do this now. You might want to wait the spring. The reason I chose this particular one, I have the branches where I need them, and that would be on the outsides of the curves, and they are radially distributed all around the tree. So I have side branches and back branches and front branches and leaders, so I can make this into a pretty believable tree as it is. The Ficus microcarpa, I'm not going to do too much work on it. I might prune the little things and maybe take some of the leaves off. I need to fertilize it now and get it running. But let's talk about some styles first. First, when we talk about branch placement, the biggest thing we want to figure out is what kind of a tree it is, what kind of a tree we're representing, and that has everything to do with the angle that the tree comes off, or that the branches come off the trunk. So we have a trunk and we have a branch. On a deciduous tree, the branch tends to go up first and then it might go down, but it's always kind of reaching up. So a deciduous tree tends to have branches that are almost up like so. Coniferous trees like pine trees, fir trees, they tend to grow where there's a lot of snow. So the angle that the branch comes off the trunk is going to be down, so that when snow hits it, since the tree hasn't dropped all of its needles, the snow will just slide right off. So most coniferous trees, the branches are at a sharp angle. Some are really sharp. Some of the firs are like this. They're almost like spears. There are several different kinds of trees that we call flat top. There's an African style acacia that people call pyrenif. There's the southern bald cypress style. The flat tops, they tend to grow very fast, getting as tall as they can, and all of the lower branches die off, and we just end up with the top branches, and they tend to have some weird twists and turns in their branches, but they're almost always coming up like this, and the canopy is either rounded or flat, you know, given the flat top name. Now tropical trees, most of them tend to grow with the branches straight off, or sometimes elevate a little bit, and they tend to be wider than they are tall, because the sun is right there beating down on them, and they just want to spread out and catch all that sun. So a banyan style tree or a Brazilian rain tree would be a huge canopy like that. Sometimes branch placement is going to be dictated by the movement in the trunk, and this one has a very sharp twist and turn. I mean, that's something that nobody could create. It had to grow that way naturally. So when we do the branches, we want to mimic those twists and turns. So as you look down on it, you see there's very distinct twists and turns in the branches. You see there's still some wire on it. But as you look down, one thing that's going to show you branch structure the most is there's hardly ever one branch over the top of another, and if it's over the top of another, it's still showing the leaves of that bottom one. So we have this level is over the top of that one, but the leaves are there, and then again and again and again and again. And we've twisted these branches. Every time you have a secondary branch come off the trunk, it's going to push the main branch away from it. That has everything to do with the way the branch grows. If there's more growing here, there's more material being pushed, and it bends that branch. So let's get over to the Salicaria, and I'm going to show you how to take those ramrod straight branches and put a little bit of movement in them to make them look a little more natural. So this is our Salicaria. Salicaria, by the way, means willow leaf. Sally, like salix. Salix is the Latin name for willow, and caria means leaf.
Is this a Latin course or a bonsai course?
It's a bonsai course, but if we're saying something, we should at least be proper when we say it. So this is the front. If you remember my blog posts where we talk about the front is here. The tree should lean somewhat towards the viewer. You see it's leaning that way. We have good movement in the trunk. There are some that would say that this trunk is built almost like a pine tree. Most willow leaf ficus, or most ficus in nature, tend to grow straight and then have banyan. But this is one of the kind of trees that I call plastic. You could grow these as banyan trees. You can grow them looking like a Christmas tree. You could grow them looking like an elm tree. There's only a couple of species in bonsai that we can do that with, and the willow leaf is one of those. So we'll put some wire on this. Tend to start with the bigger wire and then work our way to the smaller. I think I could probably do it all with this. I think that's 1.5, and I'll just double it up in some spots. That's one of the most boring things you can watch, so we're going to do a fast forward here. I promise you though, we will have a wiring course when I can figure out how to do it, because that's probably the most difficult thing to teach without me sitting there with a ruler slapping your hand because you're doing it wrong.
Could you get away with that today?
Oh yeah, you sign a waiver, and you know it's arbitration. We don't go to court. Wow, that was the hottest 5 minutes since I conceived my son. Okay, so we have...
You're first or last?
Well, as you get older, it tends to take you a little longer, I think. We have all of our branches wired. And now it's all about branch placement. So here's a good question that I get a lot. People always see in my blogs and in some of the videos that I will wire every branch out and then move them. If I'm just doing a styling, sitting over there at my workstation, I will wire a branch, move everything where I need to do it, wire a branch, move it, wire, move it. That's just the way I work. I do this so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So the nature of the trunk is what we're going to try to mimic with the branch placement. Starting at the bottom, that's going to be the guidepost, the template for all the rest of the branches. So we have the first branch coming off at this corner. I think we're going to have the angle coming down like a pine tree. The first branch should always point to the first corner of the pot, or if it's a round pot, you pretend it's a rectangular pot. Depending on where it's coming from, you either want to do a bend backwards or bend forward. This one I think we're going to bend backwards first and then do a bend forward like that, and then a second bend, and then we have our secondary branch coming off right here, so we're going to do a bend right there as well, like so, and then bend that one back towards the corner. The tips of the branches always go up, so if you see it's a little regular there, so I might maybe make that one a little bit longer and this one a little bit shorter, the curve. But that's about what the first branch should look like. Now this one I kept 2 branches on it. It's not usually a thing to do, but sometimes a tree will do that. So you want to tend to mimic the first branch. So we brought it around and then back that way. So that gives us the hand of the branch. Instead of having one bigger branch, we have 2 smaller branches. Okay, so our second branch might be a back branch, because we have one in the back. We have a side branch, another side branch. Generally, you want the second branch to be on the opposite side of the tree and pointing to the other corner. So we're going to pretend this is our real second branch. This one though needs to come down a little more in order to get the proportions correct from here to here to here. And we're going to bend it up, bend it forward and back again, and then bend the tip up. And whoever wired this tree did not do a very good anchor right there, so I'm going to blame the person behind the camera. Now since we have...
It's not my tree.
Since we have 2 branches that are almost at the same spot, those are called bar branches. The intermediates would look at that and say, that's terrible, that's poor design. And I don't care what the intermediates say. This one, we have a hole right here if I were to cut that off. So this is going to fill that hole until maybe we might get another branch that pops here. One thing I'd like to teach about bonsai: when you have a tree and you're first starting out, this is not your first tree is not going to be $1 million tree. You want it to look like a tree to begin with, so it should look good in your head at all times. When you get to the point where you do have your $500 tree and you're developing it, that's when you'll grow a branch out that's 5 feet long, and it gets to the right thickness, and then you chop it off about an inch, let it grow out again 5 inches, cut it back. That's one way to develop a tree. This is another way to develop a tree. First thing to look at as we look down on the tree, there's no one branch that's over the other one or covering up totally. So we have this one and this one and this one and that one and that one and that one and that one. That's important. A tree will grow like that so it will catch the sun on all sides. Now I haven't touched the top yet. I actually brought these up so you could see that, and I haven't touched any of the length yet. I'll do the length last. Let's address how to build the top on this. So technically the top is not really a branch. There will be branches and side branches, but it is a continuation of the trunk. So we have from the ground, it goes in this direction, then it bends in that direction, then it bends in this direction. So we have to continue those bends in smaller and smaller increments. So this is what I call building the trunk, or building the apex. So the topmost branch is going to be turned into a side branch, and this will be the top.
Did you allow the two branches to discuss that, or how did you arrive at that?
I am a dictator. You're looking at it and you're saying, but isn't the top supposed to bend over to the top of you? And yeah, we're going to use this one as the top, and that's now going to be a side branch, and this is your apex right here. So we have effectively shortened the tree by about that much, and we have put in place some branches to help build the apex. I'm going to put some wire on here eventually, but first what we're going to do is cut everything to length. So generally your first branch is going to be your longest branch because it's the oldest one. So that's the outermost edges of the tree are here, 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 and here. There's actually an angle that trees grow at. Jim Van Landingham teaches it. It's like 22.7 degrees that you can, if you wanted to topiary trim it, that's how you would do it. It's pretty easy just to kind of do that.
Did your son just take your car?
Now I'm going to go and cut all the tips so that we don't get any more length. We get back branch, back budding. Now for those of you out there who know me and know the way I work, you're probably wondering why I haven't defoliated this yet. It's a challenge that somebody posed to me that I couldn't style a tree without taking all the leaves off. So what I say to that is, poo-paw. There we go. I've styled the tree and did not defoliate it. And I'm going to defoliate it now so that you guys can actually see what I did, because that looks like a mess. That looks a 1970s centerfold.
Adam, what's the best way to get rid of leaves when you're done defoliating? They fall in the pot.
Apprentices. Before I do a recap on what I did to the tree, I should probably point out this pot is a training pot, just plastic. It's way too big for the tree. I'd probably put it in a pot about that size. This is it's a pretty cool pot made by Roy Minerai, and I cannot pronounce it. It's Kawausa pottery. But that's about the size pot that could be. To recap, this whole video is all about branch placement. So no branch over the top of another, one turn off of the trunk, whether it be this way or that way. The first branch is pointing to the first part of the first corner, second branch there. We should have an open trunk 2/3 up the tree, so you can actually see the trunk, and then your branches should start going in the front. Natural bends, unless we're trying to match like we did with the ficus, the other ficus. Thank you all for watching my branch placement show. Thank you, Barb, for suggesting it. I think maybe you can come by and I can give you a couple of more lessons. You always bring the best lunches. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. I love comments. Share this on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever you make sure you go on to my Instagram, my Facebook page, Tumblr, Twitter. Give me ideas. My email address is adamaskwhy@att.net. If you want to send pictures of your trees, I might use them in a future show. adamaskwhy@att.net. Questions, comments, show ideas. Just don't send any of those D pics.